Absolutely. All right, we are a couple of minutes after, and I want to respect everyone's time. And of course, our amazing guest speaker, Debbie, I want to respect your time as well. So, welcome everybody to today's class. We got a mixture between escrow options group and rock title. So excited to dive in today. And we've had Debbie on before. It's always an amazing time. You're always learning something new. And today she's going to talk to us about what we need to be doing to crush 2025. So, I'm excited to hear. Let's dive
Yep.
in.
And I put my email up in the chat just in case you guys have a question, need to reach out later. We decided we won't use a PowerPoint today. We'll just have an awesome conversation. You're welcome to type anything in the chat or even unmute yourself if you like to throw your thoughts in. You know, obviously it's going to be an interesting year. And somebody said something the other day. They said, a long time ago on Saturday Night Live, when Gilda Radner was on that show, and she played a character, Rosanna Dana Dana. And her favorite saying was always, it just goes to show you, it's always something. And really, in the real estate world, it is always something. Now, last year, the transactions across the nation were the lowest that they've been since 1995. So if you felt the pinch of that, like, why is this so hard? Well, we all know logically because people were stuck with their low interest rate, not wanting to let go of that and move up. But it impacted transactions by 50% reduction in number of units. Now, the year before that was around 40% reduction. So we've just been really, stuck for a while. And what that means, those people eventually will break loose and do something. And sometimes it's just a matter of it hits a certain interest rate where they say, okay, now makes sense. And then there's that flood, which I've lived through that in my career where I saw it be stuck. Rates got to a certain point, and I felt like everybody and their brother was ready to move. So to crush it, I think in 2025, what we really want to be conscious of, this is the time to fill your pipeline with as many awesome connections as you can, as many awesome conversations as possible, and really reaching out. If you can, in this first or second quarter, speak to everybody in your past client sphere, and even what you might even have considered old leads, right? Because they were from last year, and just have that very candid conversation and say, we're heading into some changes in the real estate world. And I'm just curious, what are you planning? What are you thinking? What information do you need? So it's not really showing up being a pushy salesperson, really more showing up as the wise advisor. So this is a year where we may start to see some of that break loose. And now that we're many weeks in the year, I'm sure you guys are all motivated to have a good year. But I was thinking about this the other day. I was on a plane and somebody said to me, what do you do? As I was explaining, they said, are you a motivational speaker? And I'm like, no, I'm not a motivational speaker, because to me, motivation is like smoke, right? Like, we could all get on our Zoom today and say all kinds of inspiring and exciting things. But then if it's not tactical and practical and action driven, that motivation just dissipates probably within a few minutes of being together. So I don't really think that it's motivation that's going to drive us this year to do some of the things that are harder to do. And we all have those things we would prefer to avoid. So when I talk to our forward coaching clients, I say, don't worry about motivation. Find the purpose. Like, what is your purpose? And every single one of you, Cindy and Roberta and Phil and Michael, they all have a different purpose. Now, maybe it's to catch up from where last year left you and set up some reserves or do some investing. Maybe it's to put some kids through college. Maybe it's to help, like to buy a house near your mom, which is why I'm here in Idaho, because she's 83 years old. Like, we all have our purpose. So on those days where it's a little tougher, a little bit more grinding, I think that's the lever you pull to remind yourself, this is why I'm doing it, you know? And if you're feeling a little bit uninspired, this first part of the year was tougher than you thought it might be, it's still projected to be a really positive year. It's just the first couple of years of the month were anticipated to be a rather slow start. So, you know, just reset the dial, say if I didn't get what I wanted out of those first couple of months, I'm going to reset my goals, my action plan. And when I think of goals, I think of a very, back to that word, tactical, because I will have people say to me things like, this is going to be the year I contact my past clients and sphere more often. That's a good thought, but it's not likely to transpose over into action because there's no plan. So if you're thinking that's what you should do this year, then let's talk about what that plan should be. You take the amount of past clients and sphere that you have, and you look at the amount of days that you'll work this year, and you divide it. And it might look like, 5 days a week, I need to speak to 2 past clients and sphere of influence. Well, to talk to 2, then maybe I need to potentially dial 10, because if I dial 10, probably I will speak to 2. And I'm going to do that at 9 o'clock in the morning, Monday through Friday. And my theme for this quarter is going to be, what are their real estate related plans? See, now that's an action plan, right? Who you're reaching out to, how many per day, what time of day, what script you're using, and even potentially the outcome that you're hoping to achieve. So, whatever it is for you. So, Justin, if they're thinking, you know what, I'm going to do more open houses, then I would encourage you, write your plan. That includes reaching out to the neighborhood, inviting them in, following up after you sell that house. Let's get another listing off of each listing, but then that's going to require those action steps. So I know that sounds rather basic, and yet it is one of the biggest things I see seasoned agents challenge with, is they haven't broken it down, and then it's not put into their calendar, right? So any wind that blows, any deal that's tough, knocks those conversations out of the way. It doesn't happen. And pretty soon, here you are well into March, and you're like, darn it, I didn't take those actions that I planned to take. So just for yourself, as you leave today, write down, what are the 2 or 3 things that I'm most focused on doing to create new business? And then where do I need to clean up or further, dial in those actual action steps? And if you have questions and you need some help, just feel free to go ahead and email me. Okay. Then also, Justin, time is the big deal, right? For all of us. This business is so disruptive. It's so hard to focus when constantly your phone is ringing or somebody's, walking into your office to talk to you. And I also feel that often our friends and family, it's like they don't think we have a real job, right? They know they can get at you anytime, and therefore they do. So as we go into the rest of this year, I would encourage you, before the end of March, do a little time study. It's actually really easy. Just take a scratch pad, whatever you want to use, all throughout the day, maybe you note it in your phone, jot down every 15 minutes or so, what are you doing? And then at the end of that day, just do a little summary and say, okay, now what was income producing? And I would consider income producing, of course, taking a listing, making a sale, but it could also be a buyer rep appointment. It could be doing your lead follow up. Obviously, any prospecting that you're doing, think of it as money time. So, what was an income producing activity? I just coded IP. What was income servicing? So that might be meeting an inspector and appraiser. It's necessary, but it's not income producing. So IS. And that what was just stuff? S. Just stuff I shouldn't have maybe been doing, in my business day. Then if you go back and do a tally, here's the goal. First step is at least 30% of your day income producing. That would be really good. For most of you, if you could get to 30% of your day income producing, you'd have a phenomenal year. Now, if you're a real overachiever, go for 50%. And that might look like, gosh, maybe this is the year I need to hire a TC if I don't have one. Maybe this is the year I need a showing partner. Maybe not a full buyer agent, but just somebody I can delegate opening the doors to. Because to get to 50%, probably going to need a little leverage. Now, if you happen to have a team already, then you should be striving to get to 80%. So it is a work in progress, but you can actually get more done in less time if your day is more efficient, right? And that means, maybe letting your friends and family know, hey, my money time, my focus time, it's before noon. So if you need me, call me at lunchtime, unless of course it's life or death. But other than that, call me at lunchtime. And don't call me all throughout the day because it's disrupting my work. Here are the best times of day to reach me. So I think one is making sure we have those lead generation activities, Justin, that we plan to do with a strong plan, having that purpose to say, I don't want to do this today. Oh, but wait, my purpose is worth it. It's going to change my life. It's going to change the lives of those around me. Now I really have to get honest with myself. I feel like I'm working so hard. Where is my time actually going? What can I do to be more efficient so I can get done and go have a life? You know, if you came to us for coaching, that's one of the first things we want to look at because most of you don't work too little, you work too much, right? And that's would be the goal, the old work smarter, not harder. How do you do that? You really do that by interrogating how you're going to use your time. Now, we talked about leads. 70% statistically of most agents' business comes from their lead follow-up. So it's very possible that a decent amount of the business you need, at least between now and the next quarter, you might already have that in your pipeline. And maybe you just haven't connected enough or they're just not quite ready yet. If you said, Debbie, I'm only going to do one thing, period, just going to do one thing, what should I do? I'd say call your leads, right? Because that's the fastest way to find that low hanging fruit. It seems obvious, but Justin, when people come to me for coaching, they almost always tell me, I don't call my past clients in Sphere enough, and my lead follow-up sucks, which is frightening if 70% of business could come from that follow-up. There was an MIT study that said 50% of leads that salespeople have, they're not even called once. They maybe came into their world, their funnel, never got a call. The other 50%, usually don't get much more than 1 or 2 attempts to reach them, and that salesperson stops attempting. But the magic happens between 6 to 12 attempts or connections. So, what that means is you're probably going to have to be a little bit more relentless in reaching out to them repeatedly, probably more than you're comfortable with. And I know that feeling, right? You get that feeling and you think, gosh, should I call them one more time? Am I going to look like a stalker? This great agent said to me the other day, he goes, Debbie, I think it's a fine line between being fabulous at your follow up and being a stalker. And he goes, I'm going to walk that line. So, yeah, it isn't always comfortable, and I would dial them and then I'd email them and then I would text them and I would repeat. And I would always cut the time they told me in half. So if they tell you they're moving in 6 months, I had so many times I would call them at 5 and they already moved. And I realized, they're lying to me. Why? Because they don't want to be bothered. They don't want to be pressured. Or as they thought about it, they got more excited and more anxious, and now they're ready. And then we also know that people can go online and do their searches so easily that it's not uncommon that they start that 6 to 18 months in advance of actually being prepared to take action. So don't give up on some of those past people in your pipeline, but we definitely need to call them and we need to drill in and see if we can identify that motivation. So here's the biggie. Ask yourself a couple of questions. What opportunity is this market presenting that I'm not taking advantage of? Maybe for you, you're seeing a few more expired and canceled listings than you have in the past, because we know for a while there were very few. Maybe that's something I should tap into. Or, with the NAR changes and buyers finding it just easier to get out to start their search on open house, that's what I need to do. I need to be out there holding more open houses. So each quarter could be a little different, but what is that opportunity you should be taking advantage of? And then the next big question, what am I avoiding? I know if I just did it, I would get success. I would earn more money. We all have it, right? And again, it's that feeling you get when you think, I don't want to do this. It's hard. It's uncomfortable. I don't like rejection. Usually, right on the other side of that discomfort is incredible success. And what's weird is when you push yourself through that limit, that limiting belief, your mind actually gets used to that feeling and knowing that beyond that feeling, it's going to be okay. And you're more likely to keep pushing yourself. Oops. Oh, did I lose you? Justin, did I lose you?
We're here.
Okay. I lost you. I can't see you.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there we go. I'm back. I got this new computer and I can't turn off these chimes and they were distracting me. So sorry, guys. I got to fix that. I just got it this morning. So yeah, ask yourself, what are you avoiding? Because really, in that avoidance is probably some incredible opportunity, and you're so proud of yourself. Now, the final thing I would say is never rest on your current level of skill. This is a big thing. I see it all the time in our industry. I know you guys see it too, where you have a transaction with an agent and they tell you they've been in the business 10 years, but they're just terrible. Their paperwork is poorly prepared, their communication skills are awful, if they even call you back. So, this is really your chance to say, I'm going to skill up, because it's been predicted by some in the industry that the market ahead in the next 5, 10 years is going to shift from the 80% of the business is done by the top 20% to 90% of the business is done by the top 10%. And that top 10% are going to be the true professionals. And in fact, Justin, since this group is so awesome, taking their time to be here today, we have a negotiations course. I think you and I talked about it a few months ago when I created it. It's awesome. It's 9 modules. It's not basic. It's high level communication, resolving conflict. It is a course we sell for $9.97. But for you guys here today, and just as a thanks to Justin for putting us all together, if you email me at the Debbie@forwardcoaching.com, say, I would like the free negotiations course, please. And then when my staff sees that, they're going to know that you want it. And you'll go right into a learning management platform. It's on-demand classes. You can watch them as you choose. Because,
That's amazing.
yeah, it's time for us to all get even better so that when you get to the table, you can compete and win. Because I know it is tough to get to the table. So if you think about mindset, that goes back to our purpose. Then we've got to choose our activities with our action plan. Then we've got our schedule, blocking those in there and protecting that time. I know you have to fix and work on your deals, but if we're not finding new business, then it's that seesaw of I've got business, now I don't. Now I've got business, now I don't. And then, of course, working to perfect our skill. So I hope it will help them. I think of all the things that we do in this business, certainly we do them to earn a living. But you know what? That doesn't change the fact that what you all do contributes to people's lives, to their personal wealth, to their happiness. But we got to go talk to them, right? And our job as a great salesperson is to help them overcome their fear and hesitation to achieve their goal. So make a commitment. Talk to some strangers. There's more people in the world you don't know than people you do, and they might just need a fabulous sales professional. Well, Justin, it's always a pleasure. I hope they go take some action. And I hope you all enjoy the negotiations course. It's pretty cool. I had a lot of fun putting it together.
Thank you so much, Debbie. That is an amazing offer. And everyone, I put her email again in the chat box there. I know a couple of you were asking for it. So make sure to email today. That's an incredible offer. And again, taking action to learn something new that can change the trajectory of your business this year.
All right, guys, have a great week. But then I'll see you again. I won't say a great year because I'll see you before the year is up.
Absolutely.
Talk to you
Thank
soon.
you so much, Debbie. Take
Thank
care,
you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.